Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. My name is Sanjeev Advani. I am here to bring you real estate, property management, and construction news in an easy to digest format that will help you learn the markets and invest over time. So today we're going to be talking about why the housing market hasn't crashed and what everybody is waiting for, right? So a lot of investors, when they get into the market, they're looking at, well, I think that with the high interest rates and banks kind of clamping down, that the market is going to crash, right? And so I'm going to wait until the market crashes so then I can start, right? And so essentially what happened was a lot of them go back to 2008. And 2008 was a very different time because in 2008, what happened was that we basically had, let's just go through a sample deal, right? So we actually have a property. We have this property that we want to buy. Now we're working at jobs, and those jobs are providing us salaries on average of, let's say, $30,000 to $40,000 a year. So $40,000 a year, you're going to buy this property, but you already have a single family home on your name. You already have a car payment. You already have some credit card debt. And so now you want to go and get this property. Well, essentially, all you had to do at that time was you could go to a lender. This could be a big bank, a small bank, a broker, anything. And you can go ahead and you can apply for that loan. And they had what's called ninja loans, right? So no income, no job, no assets, right? And so basically at that point, what you're doing is you're saying, well, we're going to take this property on and we're going to give you a loan based on the financials of the property, right? Now, the problem is that's assuming that someone knows how to run the property and assuming that everything will go well into the future as well. So the problem becomes at that point that, well, now this person who clearly can't service the debt is going and getting a property, right? Now that property then is not being serviced the way that it should, or not providing the income the way that it should, and therefore you're having misses in payments and shortness and things like that. And now you have a bigger crash, which essentially starts coming after the banks. Now the banks are not as leveraged as they are today, right? Or excuse me, are over leveraged from what they are today. So essentially, you want to have more reserves. So the bank essentially says, well, if this person goes into foreclosure, we have enough in reserves to be able to make sure that we can keep ourselves afloat, right? And so those reserves amounts now have changed. And so the banks technically have become a little bit safer as far as how they do things. So you'll notice if you go to a bank today, they will take all of the paperwork from you, right? And they will look at all of it and they'll ask you questions, and it's a dialogue and it takes some time. Obviously, for a single family house, this process is pretty straightforward. But if you're going forward with other properties or you have multiple properties, things like that, they do check into you. It's not just, hey, I've got four rentals, I've got a W-2 job, and so therefore you're going to give me this. No. So that essentially is a big change as far as how things have worked, especially in the past, right? Is now we don't have that where you can just walk into a bank and say, I make 120,000 a year. Really, they're not going to do any checking and they're going to give you that. No, they actually are going to check you this time, and they are going to make sure that you can afford the payment, right? And so the thing is, again, you look at the banks need to be solvent. And in order for the banks to be solvent, they have to be a little bit more restricted in their lending. And in order to do that, they have to obviously be a little bit pickier about the people that they're lending money to, which is going to slow down those markets a little bit. And so that essentially is what you're saying, what you're doing when you're seeing the heat coming off of the market, but not seeing a full drop from a recession or a depression. And so that right there is the biggest difference as far as what is going on in the housing market, why it hasn't really crashed so far. And you'll hear this if you pay attention to the Fed, is we're engineering a soft landing. So this is part of that engineering a soft landing. Is essentially what they're going to do is they want to make things a little bit tighter until things start to cool down. Once things start to cool down, then they can loosen up just a little bit and keep on going just a little bit, just a little bit. And so that's why the banks think that interest rates are going to go down. It's just not that they're going to go from 8 to 4. They're going to go from 8 to, well, at least right now, from 7 to 6.8 to 6.7 to 6.5, things like that. And so now you're starting to see, well, if they do that and they do it properly, then ideally you're going to be able to engineer what they call a soft landing. So that way we're not really hitting property prices a ton. We're not really taking a bunch of borrowers out of the market. There is no basically market anymore, and moving forward that way. So I hope this brought you value. If it did, please hit that thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe. Leave us a comment down below as far as any questions that you might have, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.